The biggest obstacle to religious secular relationships today, in my opinion, is the obstinacy and intolerance of the Orthodox establishment, primarily the chief rabbinate, to get out of the Middle Ages.
Trying to get you to learn something, and then you can make an informed choice.
It's the fanatic of the religion people, because there's nothing in between. They think it's supposed to be like they are, like it's extreme to their side.
Most of the Chilunim are probably ignorant of what Jewish law is and what it's like, and I also think that they don't understand that there's a lot of spirituality to religious life, to being a Jew.
100 years ago, the early Zionist leaders advocated the establishment of a modern Jewish state. What was then a bitter, divisive, but theoretical argument has grown into a harsh reality. The spiritual descendants of those early debates continue to grapple with the character and the role the State of Israel should take in its 50th year.
Religion, yes, it's in our background, but this is not a Jewish state. It is a state for the Jews.
A point of view that is definitely not shared by those who want the Jewish state to be exactly that, Jewish.
I don't think that we have to force the individuals to live as religious people. I don't think so. But we're not talking about this. We're talking about the public life of a Jewish country.
What does it mean, public places? When I want to go to a concert or to the theater or to a cinema, it's in closed doors and you have to pay for it. So it's none of their business to go and to see where I am going.
We feel that we have a very big responsibility for the existence and for the continuation of staying as a Jewish people and giving to this a Jewish taste.
Left-wing leaders such as Shulamit Aloni are vehemently opposed to political power in the hands of the religious.
Yes, it's a kind of humanism, because they use the word of God and they know better, and they are very, very restless and intolerant, completely intolerant to others.
We're so far away from what being called humanism. We don't go into change private lives of people. I think this is a matter only of education, of belief. We are talking what has to do with the secular society only about the public life should be a little more Jewish. That's all.
Should shopping malls and restaurants be open on Shabbat? Should they be permitted to serve cheeseburgers? What kind of exemptions should be made for military service? These questions are at the very core of the bitter debate over how Jewish the State of Israel should be.
The Haredi worked very hard in trying to bring over our positive side to people that are not. My daughter speaks in the tzava, in the army for soldiers, and tries to explain to them what our goal is here, not to force anything, not to force religion on anybody, which again is something that we have these things from the media. We're trying to force our religion. That's simply not true. We just want to live our way, and we want you to understand why we do what we do.
Avram Burg, an observant Jew, is also a member of the left-wing Labor Party. Now, as chairman of the Jewish Agency, he is responsible for decisions that directly impact Jewish programming both in Israel and abroad. Burg says a separation of synagogue and state would bring religious and secular closer together.
What concerns me today the relationship between observant and non-observant Jews in Israel, what is called in the diaspora church and state, what should be called in Israel Knesset and Beit HaKnesset. This is something which I'm really troubled by, and this is why I'm calling for separation between church and state, because I don't want my religion to be corrupted by my politics.
Divided synagogue and state, maybe from a theoretical point of view, could be. But we live in a real and a practical world. And in the reality of the State of Israel is that the interests of people or groups are only protected and defended by political parties. That's the way it is. For better or for worse. fortunately or unfortunately.
As tension between the religious and secular has grown, so has the degree of separation. Each has its own neighborhoods, educational institutions, shops, services, even cultural norms. The polarization is so strong in some areas that it is possible to live there and rarely meet Israeli Jews who have chosen other lifestyles.
A lot of non-religious people feel that religious people look down on them if they're not religious, and they feel superior, and that we're less Jewish because we don't observe Shabbat, which a lot of people that are Jewish and are not observant have a hard time with, because we're just as Jewish as they are, and we also do observe our religion and our Jewishness and our Israeli culture in our own ways.
I think the ultra-Orthodox have become the scapegoat in Israel. All the bad is directed toward the ultra-Orthodox.
Well, I don't have any connection with secular youngsters because we don't go to the same schools, we don't go to the same youth movements, and I think that's it. There's no reason, it just happens. People live in different places too. I lived in a religious community where there are only religious people in all the buildings around, so we had no contact with them, with secular youngsters.
I never had a religious friend. I don't think that, I mean, even if I would really like a religious friend, there would be all kind of problems.
I think it's very bad that I don't have any connections with secular kids my age, and I'd like it to change, but I don't see how.
Like, you know, going out together, socializing, because, like, if you want to go out on Friday with all the bunch, then the religious girl or guy wouldn't be able to come out with us.
Even the media cater to each group separately. Daily newspapers and weekly magazines carefully target each market according to its needs.
The Orthodox live in a total different lifestyle than the secular. They speak a different language, they have a different culture, they buy different products, and they are motivated by different motivations. So we don't feel ourselves, we the secular, feel ourselves professional enough to advertise to this segment.
Many say that the rift between the religious and the secular reached an all-time high in the wake of the 1995 assassination of former Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, which was carried out by a militant right-wing law student, Yigal Amir.
Within half an hour of the assassination, I will never forget listening to a number of leaders of the left, the onslaught and the attack against not only the religious community, but more than half of the country. Or the words of one member of Labor in a worldwide television program, "We will crush you. We will crush you." We're talking about I, as all of my colleagues, we were traumatized, we were in shock, we were depressed for weeks following the assassination.
I think each one is probably as obstinate and as intolerant as the other one, but when you're so convinced that the way you are is the correct way, that it's very difficult to really listen and understand how the other side might feel.
Certainly there's got to be dialogue. Certainly we have to realize that, first of all, we're in the same boat.
Reality exists on so many different levels in Israel that people can do exactly what they want and say, well, but this is my reality. Well, you know, we have this collective reality that we all have to get together somehow.
Jewish history is replete with reminders of the price that has been paid for divisiveness. The question is whether modern Israel, with its internal difficulties, is willing to learn the lessons from the past as it charts its course through the next 50 years. This is Yudit Batari reporting from Jerusalem.